live in 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8 a.m. like normal. It is a warm 70 degrees outside, and we have a high of 81 degrees today. It's allegedly supposed to be storming today for a little bit, but
It was sprinkling a little bit this morning.
yeah, I guess it's supposed to rain tonight more than anything. But it's sprinkling a little bit, but it's really. I've been up since 4:30, and it hasn't been raining or sprinkling all bad at all. So maybe just light drizzle, but it says thunderstorms on my phone, but I'm not sure. So it's maybe a little light sprinkle outside, but it doesn't appear to be raining at the moment. But I guess bring your light rainproof jackets with you just to be safe. But it is warm out, so don't worry about dressing too warm today. So with that being said, traffic conditions are actually pretty fair right now. It's like I said, as usual. I caught myself. Like it's as usual. It's got that little congestion point at 169, the entrance ramp to 169 at 76th Street. So it does slow down there, but that there's no traffic up until that point, and it just slows down for a brief moment, and then it takes off right into Tulsa. So your commute's going to be fine going into Tulsa today if you haven't left yet. So keep that in mind as you begin to make your travel. Now, upcoming events here in the Owasso area. Actually, I guess we'll do a real quick brief of, I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter. Hope you got to spend time with your family. He is risen. So, for those of you, like I said, remember that's what Easter's all about. Spend time with friends and family and celebrating life and celebrating the sacrifice that Christ gave for all of us to be here today and to live in his grace and glory. So, I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter. I certainly did. Had a good time with my girlfriend and family, and we were all watched the kids' Easter egg hunt, and had some good food. Had a good time. It was a nice, relaxing weekend. So now I hope everyone else did as well. But as far as upcoming events go, what do we got, Chad? What's Owassoisms and what's the going on
Let's
with the chamber?
find out. All right. I've got, as of right now, we'll start with the Owasso Chamber page. I just pulled that up onto the screen for those of you who are watching. On today, which is April Fool's Day, the first 2024 quarterly event postcard, which I'm not sure what that is. It says here, each quarter, Chamber mails an event postcard to all Chamber members and events. Database Nick Burger. Okay.
April Fools.
Mm. Yeah. It said April 1st, fees are $750 a quarter. Good Lord.
That sounds like an April Fool's joke if I ever heard one.
And then on the 2nd, they'll have the new member orientation and workforce Owasso.
Mm.
And then on the 3rd, they'll have their monthly meeting. And that's it for this month as of the chamber.
Wow.
And then we've got Owasso isms. I'll pull them up over here as well. All right. And it looks like we don't have anything on their calendar coming up anytime real quick. The first thing we have is on the 7th, and it's Wheels and Thrills. Invite you to another one of their little sensory skate events again.
Cool.
And that's from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Wheels and Thrills.
Mm-hmm. And then nothing else until, well, next week. So if anything else pops up on Owassoisms, I'll be sure to let you know.
All right.
But that's really it as of local events. But I've got the weather forecast I'm going to throw up there real quick for the rest of this week. Say possible chance of thunderstorms today, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday's just cloudy. They're going to get a little lower, though. It's only going to be high of 54.
Boo.
But it's going to get back warmer after Wednesday. It gets back up into 64, 65-ish.
Yay.
Gets back up in the 70s after that. And we're going to be hot for the rest of this week. So.
Awesome.
And it's supposed to be sunny and pretty. So besides
Excellent.
Monday, today, and tomorrow, we're looking pretty good weather-wise.
Excellent.
And then if we want to go into, we won't go into it hardcore, but Owasso sporting events. Looks like today the girls JV soccer will be going to Union. Slow pitch softball will have a home game against Tahlequah.
Okay.
Boys JV soccer will be playing Union as well, and that's away.
Okay.
And then JV baseball will be away at Bartlesville, but the boys varsity will be home for playing Bartlesville today. So if anybody wants to go support our baseball team, I would definitely go check that out.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into the other stuff tomorrow, but it looks like the boys tennis is having a tournament tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah.
So looks like it's a home tournament too. So anybody who wants to support our local teams.
Yeah, just go out to the tennis courts by the 8th grade center and support them.
And then Rejoice. I did not pull up all Rejoices yet because I have to pull them all up individually.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hold off on that. Anybody who wants to check Rejoice, you're going to have to check it yourself today.
Push on to OKC, man.
Yeah, we will. And then the only other thing on college, which I won't get into a lot too, nothing until April 2nd for OU. Same with OSU, and they'll be actually playing Oral Roberts in Stillwater. So if anyone wants to see the boys basketball, or I'm sorry, not basketball, baseball. It's baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball they'll be playing in Stillwater on the 2nd. And then does TU have anything this week? Looks like there is men's tennis game against Wichita State today. So if anybody wants to do that, is that away or home? It's at Wichita. So never mind.
Okay.
It's in Wichita. But other than that, that's really
shocking.
As for OKC Thunder, they beat the New York Knicks. It was a close game that was 113 to 112.
How about that? We've been dumping on New York in our shorts on YouTube, and now OKC is dumping on them now.
And that brings OKC back up to first in our conference. Mm-hmm. So we are 52 wins, 22 losses, but the Nuggets are still right there behind us. They have 52 wins, but 23 losses. So if we lose a game or if they win a game, we're just going to be trading spots for the rest of the season by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a 2-win streak now, whereas the Nuggets only have a 1. So that's probably really what's kept us over the top right now. Let me see if they're playing anybody soon. Our next game is tomorrow against the 76ers.
Okay.
So, and that's at 6:30 tomorrow. So if we can keep up this hot streak that we're on, we should be able to stay high up there in the rankage right now.
Absolutely. Looking forward to some potentially OKC bringing home some titles this year, hopefully. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. But that's really all I've got as of Owasso local news and, just Oklahoma news in general.
Good deal.
So I'll go bring it back to you, and we can just move on to, more
national news. So in national news, and I'll kind of keep it a little local here real quick. So I'll throw a reference. So when I said we were dunking on people from New York, so if you remember the show last week, I made a couple of shorts about it. And on YouTube, the best way that people digest information is through shorts, kind of like TikTok and all that stuff. Like
YouTube
it's garbage.
has its own shorts.
I clip little bits of the show and I post them, and I posted and the caption of it was New York is pro-criminal, and then a bunch of people from New York just hated that. There's some the vast majority of people agree and like what we have to say. They go, yeah, New York is pro-criminal. They're making it easier for squatters to get away with stuff. So the vast majority, but there are a handful of just rabid, crazy folks, and they're going, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand. And then we would be like,
paragraph long.
Yeah, and we'd be like, if New York everything was fine in New York, why would they have to deploy the National Guard to the subway? That's the rebuttal. If everything's great over there, then why is the National Guard deployed?
And then you get the occasional person's like, I was there. I didn't see any National Guard in the subway.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. So that's what we were kind of referencing. So we've picked up a lot of hate from folks from New York, but we have friends in the National Guard up in New York, so we just know that whoever these people are that are arguing with us that are allegedly from New York just cannot have any real dog in this fight, because we have our brothers in arms telling us, no, yeah, we're there. We're working the subways, and you're just like, okay. So somebody's lying, and I don't feel like it's the person I know in New York. I feel like it's the stranger on the internet sending paragraph-long sentences about why I'm
somebody
lying.
Actually on the ground in the National Guard there, just like, yeah, I'm here, man. It's I don't know.
Yeah, it's not glamorous work, but it's work. Yeah. But so that's what we were referencing earlier. So we'll move on to what we were going to discuss today. WAPO, so Washington Post. Of course, it's always relevant to us. So Washington Post lied and omitted known facts from the Next Benedict case. So y'all remember what happened here in this town with Next Benedict. She was that girl that passed away, and she passed away from an overdose. The LGBTQ alphabet mafia came together and was like, oh, she was murdered by bullies in school, and this is indicative of how transgender people are treated in our society, which of course it wasn't, all lies, all misinformation. This is why we always say, whenever something bad happens, like even with this bridge collapse where that boat hit that bridge, don't just start assuming, it was a cyber attack. Don't just assume that they were terrorists, took over the boat and ran it into the bridge intentionally. Wait a week, most a week, and see what comes out. So, with this next Benedict thing, basically WAPO, all they did was they weaponized the narrative, not the truth, to try to take down Libs of TikTok, because Libs of TikTok is involved in the state of Oklahoma, is involved in the education board, or whatever. She's in the governor appointed her to be an assistant to, or
the head of education has appointed her to a position.
Yes, to a position where she's kind of in charge of like seeing the trans indoctrination stuff going on in schools. So that's what she was going to. So that's what's happening. WAPO, all the left-leaning people at WAPO are mad that she's been appointed to a position of power in the state of Oklahoma, so they're going to weaponize the narrative, not the truth, against her to try to get her taken down. And I even have you can pull up that.
I have the
perfect.
I have Libs of TikTok's Instagram thing pulled up.
Excellent, thank you. But yeah, I mean, the truth being that the left so here's what she said on her post. The left created a false narrative, lied about every detail surrounding Neck's death, and then blamed it on Libs of TikTok, which is not wrong. So again, the facts of the matter are, regardless of whether or not those girls were saying mean things about Next or making fun of the way she laughed, and whatever story you believe, Next started the fight. So that's fact number one. She started the fight. She initiated the physical portion of the altercation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Next did not die from her injuries. She was not targeted because of her identity. She died of an overdose. And her father, which is the big detail behind all this, which will lead into the next segue to our story, her father was
molesting and raping.
Yes, was
assaulting her.
Was assaulting her as a child. Was having indecent relations, which is why he's in prison. He is, so.
Which tells you that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we weren't even aware of.
And again, and the people accusing the school of hiding and stuff, the school probably knew a lot of this information and was like, we do not want to go let the public know about this child's traumatic past.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, they're hiding things. They're hiding things. Everybody. So all you people who are out there going, they're hiding things. They're covering it up. They're trying to protect a horrible past that this child had to live through, the suffered life through, living with her grandma.
There's two possible things that they could have done. They could have told everybody and, their goat basically what had happened to her, or let her attempt to go and live through a normal life without everyone knowing what had happened.
Yes.
And they opted for option 2 to keep her privacy.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to go through life where every person you meet goes, oh, this is the kid that had a really bad dad. This is the kid that had a traumatic experience. Like, do you want to be that kid, or you want to be treated like everyone else? I imagine the vast majority of kids want to be treated like everyone else. So this is the problem when you have we have a society that just wants to bubble wrap everyone. Oh, everyone has to feel loved. Everyone has to feel this. It's like, look, life is cruel and harsh, and the only thing you got to do is attempt to make your kids strong enough to deal with the harshness that is reality. They got to get, in West Point, a friend of mine who went to West Point, what they did was the first day that they show up, they do boxing at West Point. They teach all the candidates boxing, and the first day, an instructor puts on gloves and goes, okay, I'm going to punch you in the face now because we want you to understand what that feels like. That's what you got to do to help to prepare kids for life, because life is going to punch you in the face, and it's not going to stop. You have to learn how to take those blows and try to redirect them
and move forward.
Some people can, some people can't. I think everybody can learn how to, though. You just got to teach them the right way. Yeah. And people learn things differently. But that's why we can't continue to just keep bubble wrapping these kids in this society. So pushing on to and I would say not an opinion at this point. So the reason I think the vast majority of people turn trans, turn gay, is because a study was recently published. The Vanderbilt University actually put it out. 83% of gays have childhood sexual trauma. 83%, folks. That's an astounding number.
I have the survey pulled up
Yeah.
now, or the study pulled up.
So think about this. The vast majority of kids who come out as non-binary, who come out as homosexual, gays, lesbians, whatever, pick your poison, have childhood sexual trauma. That's why people are turning gay. That's why people are coming out and living their lifestyles the way they are. Because now, obviously, this is just my assumption. From what I take from this study, is that if you have sexual trauma in your past as a child, you will come out as homosexual, more than likely. What the people who put this study together, Gore, what shows you how left-leaning all these universities are, they go, we just have to understand the psychiatric, we need to help the gay people with all their psychiatric issues, instead of being like, we need to help them so they can better fit into their lifestyle. It's like, no, their lifestyle is a result of the sexual trauma they experienced as kids. It's not like they were that way, that happened to them just serendipitously. It's like, no, how they turn out is a result of this childhood trauma. Now, I said, of course, this is my opinion of the what I'm forming based on what these surveys are putting out. But that's astounding, that number. And it says a lot more about our society and like the type of people who are living in our society and who are willing to harm children. And that's how bad it's gotten. And this is why you're seeing this explosion.
Yeah. Well, this comes back to like father's importance in the household and what we were kind of talking about in regards to like dating. It's like, it seems that since women have had more free reign in who they can choose as a life partner,
they choose unwisely.
They choose unwisely. Like I said, this is why we talked about, like I said, it's, the father handing off his daughter to somebody that he knows can protect her. It's like men know by meeting another man whether this guy's going to be a good fit or a good match. Whereas it seems to me that it looks like women are picking, as we call the bad boys, which, like I said, a guy who knows, don't mess with that dude. That dude's a heartbreaker, meaning he's just going to jump from one person to the next. And that's really how I see this is. But if you get into this study, I mean, right here, it literally says that they did this study that the Vanderbilt did. The survey included 60,000 people. Of the 60,000 people that were in the study, 3,000 identified as some form of LGBTQ, trans, something along those lines. And of that survey, the 83% of the LGBTQ people, so 80% of that 3,000 had some kind of sexual trauma
from childhood.
And over 52% of that 83% had multiple
traumatic
experience. 3 or more is what it says here.
Anecdotally, so Chad and I were cheerleaders on cheer squad. Of course, there were gay people on the cheer squad, gay dudes. All of them had some type of bad parent who did stuff to them, and they were all very upfront about it too. So, this is just my opinion on the matter. You can disagree with it, but I think childhood sexual trauma is what creates the environment for homosexuality.
At least by this study, at least about 80%.
Yeah, so 83%. So that means what? The leftover.
So that means 20% are probably could be naturally gay, whereas the rest of that 80% are literally turns that way from some type of traumatic
because
event
they don't
from
feel
their
like they can fit into that gender norm, because they want to feel like, again, if you're molested and you feel weak in that situation when you try to have a relationship with someone, you don't want to feel weak, so you want to dominate the other person. So what do? You become the other gender. You become the other sex, the one that dominates, to feel stronger. Now, as I said, opinion. Opinion could be a controversial opinion, but that's based on the evidence here. I would say that's a pretty reasonable or rational conclusion to make. So I know that this has been a little bit deep and dark, but again, it goes to show you that WAPO lying about stuff to weaponize narrative. So again, the media weaponizing half-truths, lies, and manipulation in order to deplatform their political rivals who have more influence than they do. The alphabet mafia and the transgender community weaponizing lies and half-truths. That WAPO allowing the LGBTQ community to weaponize lies and half-truths to claim more victimhood than they should actually have. And then they can carry, again, the White House even put out information about Next Benedict.
That was wrong.
That was wrong. Mm-hmm. Think about this, guys. A lie, I've said this before and I'll say it a million times. A lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has time to put its shoes on. Period. So, the lies, half-truths, and manipulations that are being put out constantly. We're fighting a losing battle in this particular area. So, it's just tough. It's tough, and it's tragic, too. The life of Next is a tragic one. Sad. Cut short because she had some traumatic things that happened with her biological father, and then had a hard time coping, turned trans or bi or non-binary to cope, and then couldn't handle her emotions, her anger issues, and then didn't want to deal with the repercussions in a social environment back in high school. That's the truth. Or my perspective on it.
Yep. There was a lot going on, and our hearts and prayers go out to her and her family.
Absolutely.
At least everyone besides her freaking dad, who needs to be buried beneath
the prison,
whatever prison he's rotting in right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's rough, and it's sad that something like that affected our community, and our community looks so poorly, is going to be looked so poorly on in the global media. And like I said, nobody's gonna hear this. There'll be only the few people here in the Owasso area, and our haters in New York are going to see this. But it's sad that when people think of Owasso, the lies and manipulations of, oh yeah, that's that town where they murdered that trans girl. That's what people are going to think. Like whenever I was telling the story about Owasso, the paddle story kid, where that one of the kids from our football team, whenever we had graduated, like the hazing or paddle incident occurred at Owasso, and I'm like in high school, and I'm in college, and all these guys go, "Did you get paddled at your high school?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I've never even heard of this." But that's what people would think. It's like, "Oh yeah, Owasso they're the school that they paddle all the football players." That's what people think. That's what they're going to think about Next Benedict for the next 10 years. The hateful transgender hate state.
Well, that's what we always talk about is hate. Hate is easier to remember than good things.
Yes,
because negative emotions, trigger
survival mechanisms.
Exactly,
yeah.
Trigger survival mechanisms in your brain, so they're remembered easier than good emotions.
And we'll try to end on a funny, ridiculous note, but again, sticking with the theme of gay, trans dinosaurs are apparently a thing according to a British museum. Now, what evidence do they have for trans dinosaurs? Zero. Basically, the dinosaurs are trans, or the T-Rex footprint that was discovered and is being displayed in this British museum. It was discovered by a little boy when he was like 10 years old. And that little boy grew up to be gay, so they correlate finding a footprint with gay. Therefore, we can't... Basically, the exhibit basically says we can't disprove the fact that dinosaurs weren't gay and trans, but we're keeping an open mind. Like, holy cow, guys. Like, scientific research for you. This is what we're talking about now. Like, when we're talking about, like, everyone's like going, why don't you just mind your own business? Why don't you just quit worrying about the transgender stuff? Why are you so worried about it? Well, because it's being thrown in our faces in every aspect of our lives. Like, seriously, trans dinosaurs?
So that explains how they went extinct.
Yeah. So, lots of comments are being made on this, like, ridiculous post by the this British museum that, okay, well, I guess if they all went trans and gay, we know why the dinosaurs went extinct. It wasn't because of the asteroid. It's because they all were like, we like the same sex, so we'll just stop reproducing. Guess that makes more sense than an asteroid hitting the Earth and destroying all the dinosaurs and wiping them out and causing a nuclear winter. I guess that's going to be our fate ultimately at this point. Holy cow. But yeah, this is a thing. This is an actual thing. A British museum is basically saying the article itself, like, this is how it's just garbage. Like, this museum is so desperate for people to show up, so desperate for clickbait articles to be put out.
Or those
what does the
diversity and equity points.
Yes, the diversity and equity points. So literally, an article written about this goes, what does the T in T-Rex stand for? Are you kidding me with this nonsense? So that's where we're at, everyone. Like, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. I can't believe this is the timeline we're living in. I mean, literally, after Trump got elected, just everything just went crazy. But again, that's what happened. Like, the left lost control of the institution, and then all these crazy people just went cut loose.
Bringing Jordan Peterson back into the fray here is he brings up the fact that we know when the right goes too far, when the right starts dividing people up between racial and, religious, ethnic lines, we go, okay, the right's going too far now. We have not found how far the left can go before it's too far. And he argues, and I would argue the same, that the moment that you start arguing for equity,
it's too far.
It's too far, because equity means everybody gets the same no matter
regardless of effort. Yeah,
exactly. But this has clearly gone off the rails here.
But I mean, the left's gone too far, way too often. We just don't. It doesn't get reported on enough. I mean, like, the fact that MAPS is a term now, and again, I know we've discussed this before, but y'all know what MAPS means: minor attracted person. That's a term, an acronym that they've created for people so we cannot stigmatize pedophiles. We don't want you to stigmatize pedophiles. You might hurt their feelings if you call them pedophiles, so you can call them MAPS. They're just minor attracted persons.
Of all the people that I'm not worried about hurting their feelings.
Yes, right?
We just talked about this. I think they should be buried underneath whatever prison they're rotting in.
Yes. And they have the lowest rehabilitation rate of any illness.
They're most likely to go back and be a repeat offender. That's the most
the highest repeat offender is pedophiles. Highest repeat offender, period. They get locked up, they come back out. I mean, there's a 99% chance they're going to be doing it again.
Louis C.K. have like a bit on this on Saturday
Probably.
Night or something?
Yeah. Louis C.K. has always had some fantastic takes, man. Like, some really good takes. Like, his takes on girls having zero self-reflection skills is one of the best bits I've ever heard.
Louis C.K. or
no, that was Louis. No, that was Louis C.K. He was talking about how he was sitting at a coffee shop listening to this girl going, "Don't worry about it, Tracy. He's just a jerk. He doesn't get you. You're too good for him." And he goes, "Well, maybe that's a bad friend. She could be like, maybe you are the problem, Tracy. Like, maybe you should look inward, But she's just telling her what she wants to hear. That's why I like. So that's the way it is with a lot of these. And that's the way it is with the transgender and gay community at this point. No one tells them to look inward. They're just saying, it's not you, it's society. It's like, again, it's that meme, the Simpsons memes. Is it the kids who are out of touch, or is it me? No, it must be the children. The children are out of touch.
It must be the children.
So that's the way it is with all these communities. Like, no one tells people to look inwardly. They say, look, if people don't accept you for the way you are, that's their problem, not your problem. It's like, I don't know. Maybe people don't accept you for who you are. Maybe it's because you're not worth accepting. You're not worth listening to. You're not worth hearing from. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So try to end on a higher note for you guys. But that's about all we've got for you today. This has been the Twins with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. God bless y'all. Have a wonderful day.
See you later, everybody. And we will have this. You can see the screen blipping out occasionally. We will have that fixed by today. We've ordered a new device that's going to stop that. So y'all have a great rest of your day.
Hopefully.